Hi, this is Jim from Safety Wars. Before we start the program, I want to make sure everyone understands that we often talk about OSHA and EPA citations, along with some other regulatory actions from other agencies, legal cases, and criminal activity. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Proposed fines are exactly that, and they are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show. And here we are, still in OSHA Region 3. Hopefully we'll be back in our home studios soon. Using a monitor I normally don't use. It seems to be. I don't know, maybe we'll fix it. I don't know, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's just me. So yes, I am getting to uploading stuff. Gonna be today, God willing. Got some real bad news. I'll be sharing with it later on. As I mentioned last night, one of my good friends passed away. Worked with him for about 13 years. Don't know what to say. A lot of phone calls last night on the whole thing. These things happen. He passed away from ALS, aka Lou Gehrig's disease. Fought a 2-year long battle. Talking about that in a little bit. Not today. Today we have news. We got a lot of news, especially with what's going on. What went on Friday. I decided not to talk about it last night because I wanted the dust to clear a little bit. But instead of clarity, what do we have? We have more confusion on top of confusion on top of confusion on top of more confusion. What's going on out there? So this is what we have. I'm just going to read off of Drudge here. So this went on Saturday, we had to hear about all the success and everything else of this. Now, and yes, this was a successful mission. We're talking about the bombing in Iran by US B-2 bombers. All right, we get that. Yes, no casualties after Israel took out all of the air defense systems. Yeah, okay. Logistically, they went into, in my opinion, a little bit too much more than what they needed to go into with logistics. Right? A little bit more than what needed to happen there. So here we have, off of Drudge. Trump, and this is from The Guardian, right, .com. Trump and Haig said amid doubts about the level of damage to Iranian nuclear sites. President calls intelligence inconclusive, while Defense Secretary describes harm to facilities as moderate to severe. I mean, the talking heads over the weekend and up until this morning, and it's Wednesday, June 25th, you listen to them. And and they're saying this, and the conclusion is this: were we better off today than what we were before? I think so. However, that doesn't necessarily mean we do that. And as usual, we support the mission of the military. Whatever mission they're given, we support it. May not agree with the chief, commander-in-chief. However, we have to go and support the people executing those orders there. So this is at the NATO summit in The Hague. The intelligence was very inconclusive. Trump told journalists at a NATO summit in The Hague, introducing an element of uncertainty for the first time after several days of emphatic declarations that destruction had been total. The intelligence, quote, The intelligence says, we don't know. It could have been very severe. That's what the intelligence suggests. The president appeared to revert to his claim that it was very severe, though there was obliteration. Later in the day, he claimed that the conclusion from collected intelligence and the Iranian program had been set back for decades. Well, it has been set back. I mean, I'm sure somebody left instructions on how to rebuild all this stuff. I mean, some estimates I've seen was a couple of months to a couple of years to they bombed it back to the Stone Age. I don't know. Pardon me. We'll see what happens here with this. Then we have Pickaxe Mountain, Iran's new hidden fortress. So, ultra-secure tunnel complex far deeper than Fordo could be perfect hiding place for missing uranium. So there's approximately 400 kilograms, something like that, of enriched uranium. Maybe I have the units wrong here, but there's stuff that's missing. Tehran had hidden sites housing hundreds, if not thousands, of advanced centrifuges capable of producing weapons-grade uranium needed for a nuclear bomb, according to some reports. And according to some of the Israeli military establishments, Pickaxe Mountain may be the perfect hiding spot. The sprawling site at Kulhikuga Gazala is 90 miles south of Fordo and takes only minutes away from the Natanz nuclear facility in central Isfahan province. The installation, which is still under construction, has been reinforced and quietly expanded over the last 4 years. Since it is obvious it is in a place where numerous and important activities related to the program are taking place, we're asking them, what is this for? And they are telling you it's none of your business. Okay. Anyone surprised by that? Israel reportedly knows the location of Iran's enriched uranium stockpiles, Saudi outlet claims. It's from the Jerusalem Post. Saudi news outlet Al-Hadath reported on Tuesday, citing an anonymous Israeli security source, that Israel knows exactly where Iran is keeping its stockpiles of enriched uranium. Right? IDF commandos covertly operate in Iran, Zamir reveals. IDF Chief of Staff General Eyal Zamir revealed that commando forces operated on the ground covertly in Iran during the war and joint efforts with Air Force and along with the Mossad in a televised address on Wednesday. Again, why are we telling them this? We achieved full control of the Iranian skies and every location we chose to operate in. This was made possible in part thanks to the joint efforts and subterfuge of all our Air Forces and commandos on the ground. Maybe they're sending a message, I don't know. Spies hang. Iran executes 3 prisoners accused of spying for Israel in brutal crackdown in wake of 12-day war. Iran executed 3 more prisoners accused of spying for Israel as it launched a major crackdown in the wake of the 12-day war. The 3 men, named as Idris Ali, Azad Shojai, and Rasul Ahmad Rasul, were hanged yesterday morning. Right? So I guess somebody has to be the fall guy, unfortunately. No pun intended there. Photos show damage in Haifa and Tel Aviv in the latest Iranian missile barrage. Photos show damage in Haifa and Tel Aviv in the latest Iranian missile barrage on Israel following U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. Yeah, a lot of damage here. However, there is a ceasefire. So everybody who was criticizing Trump, well, he got a ceasefire out of it. That was the risk. Right? This is from The Hill. Trump knocks down barriers around personal data, raising alarm. Trump administration is shattering norms around the handling of Americans' personal data and sometimes private information, dismantling barriers around data, name of government efficiency, and rooting out fraud. Privacy experts say the moves bring the country closer to a surveillance state, increase the government's vulnerability to cyber attacks, and risk pushing people away from public services. DOJ has sought and nearly always received access to social security numbers, addresses, medical histories. It goes on and on and on. And these moves are shattered walls that have long kept data within the agencies that collect it. What do I have to say other than computer security is an oxymoron? There's no such thing as computer security. They put it in a computer, it's not secure. It's only a matter of time, especially with AI, for everything to be hacked. Things to be hacked. Right? All security systems being bypassed. Sorry to say. So this was an interview in TheGuardian.com, interview by Mike German, an ex-FBI agent, and immigration agents hiding their identities, highlights the illegitimacy of actions. Some wear balaclavas, some wear neck gaiters, sunglasses and hat, some wear masks and casual clothes. Across the country, armed federal immigration officers have increasingly hidden their identities while carrying out immigration raids, arresting protesters and roughing up prominent Democratic critics. It's a trend that sparked alarm among civil rights. Now, we went into this a couple weeks ago, where the administration is saying that these people are all being doxxed and pursued outside of work. That's why they're covered. Right? Again, does it look good? Good visuals to have federal agents like this? No, but that's the reality they're dealing with. How many people do you know that have backup social media accounts? They say very controversial things and maybe honest things, but it's all done under an alias. A lot of people do that. Here's another one. Flock removes states from national lookup tool after ICE and abortion searches revealed. It's an article on archive.is.com. Archive.is. Article by Joseph Cox and Jason Kovler. Flock, the automated license plate reader company with a presence in thousands of communities across the U.S., has stopped agencies across the country from searching cameras inside Illinois, California, and Virginia. 404 Media has learned the dramatic moves come after 404 Media revealed local police departments are repeatedly performing lookups around the country on behalf of ICE. A Texas officer searched cameras nationwide for a woman who self-administered an abortion, and lawmakers recently signed a new law in Virginia. Ordinarily, Flock allows agencies to opt into a national lookup database where agencies in one state can access data collected in another, as long as they also share their own data. Pardon me. This practice violates multiple state laws going on and on and on. Again, the surveillance state. How do we handle that? How does your organization handle that, especially if you collect worker medical data? And let's face it, air samples often are part of that medical data that's collected. How do you secure that for 30 years? How do you quarantine that data to a limited number of individuals? Robo-Sting. Here we have more surveillance. China unveils tiny, terrifying mosquito-sized drone to be used for spying and special missions as they sneak into homes. Experts warn they can land in the hands of everyday criminals. China has unveiled a horrifying mosquito-sized drone to be used for covert missions and spying. Please note that the United States has been doing this for about 30 years at least. I've heard. The spindly device looks scarily akin to a blood-sucking insect, making it a valuable tool for secret information gathering. They got a picture of it. Yeah, it looks like a mosquito. What's it going to do? Perform a range of military and civilian activities. Sort of like that fly on the wall. If I could be a fly on the wall, what would I see? Some good news here. Deaths from heart attacks are way down, but here's what's killing us instead. And this is an article off of CNN. Story by Sandy Lamott. Heart disease is the leading cause of death around the world. However, overall heart disease death rates over the past 5 decades dropped by 66% in American adults 25 and older. According to a new study, even better, deaths from heart attacks dropped by nearly 90%. Over the past 50 years, our understanding of heart disease, what causes it, and how to treat it has evolved considerably. There have been great strides made with this, right? Unfortunately, that positive news has a flip side. That's from all other types of heart disease, including arrhythmias, heart failure, and hypertensive heart disease increased by 81% in the United States, according to the study published Wednesday in the Journal of the American Heart Association. Right? Some of my experience, I've never had a heart attack, but that is one of the things that kills us Polzels, is heart issues. Better medication, better detection medication, I think that has a lot to do with it, with that. I mean, some members of my family were put on beta blockers to, as a prophylactic against heart disease or heart attacks, more specifically. But let's remember they all have side effects. The beta blockers are freaking brutal. All right, I was on them for a short term, and I tell you what, they are. I mean, you can't do anything on them. I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people go off them. Is that they're very draining, to say the least. Your daily, and again, this is from studyfinds.org, and this is a debate that's been going on for years and years and years. Your daily caffeine fix may be a secret weapon against aging, but there's a twist. What are you going to do? Put a lemon in it? A twist of lemon? You're nursing your third cup of coffee at 2 p.m., feeling slightly guilty about your caffeine dependency when science drops an unexpected update. That habit might actually be helping your cells age more gracefully. Before you start chugging espresso shots, researchers have discovered surprisingly new how caffeine works at a cellular level. So this is a study from Microbial Cell, reveals that in addition to helping you wake up, caffeine also interacts with the machinery that governs aging. Scientists found that this beloved stimulant can extend lifespan and influence how cells handle genetic damage, particularly when the molecular systems that regulate stress have already been added. So, I mean, this is back and forth. Caffeine will kill you. Caffeine will help you. All right? And we're all being manipulated. Putin's. You know what? Let's take a commercial break here for a minute. And we'll probably put on some music.
From the Safety Wars and Streaming House. Jim Polzel on SafetyFM.com.
In an unpredictable world, one voice rises above the chaos. Meet Jim Polzel, a seasoned safety expert who's navigated through some of the most dangerous scenarios, from anthrax, explosive cleanups, disasters, and numerous environmental cleanups, and lived to tell the tale. Now he's bringing his wealth of knowledge, insights, and experiences to you through Safety Wars. From workplace hazards to the hidden dangers in your own home, Jim covers it all with his engaging storytelling. Safety Wars isn't just a podcast, it's your guide to a safer world. Join Jim Polzel and become part of the Safety Wars revolution. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts and videos. Safety Wars. Your safety is our mission.
Have you listened or watched the Safety War show? It does stream live on the radio and on the streamer-emers that we have. So if you have not taken a listen to Jim Polzel and what the hell he's doing every evening with Safety Wars, I would strongly encourage you to take a view or take a listen, whichever option is available for you, and take a listen to what the hell he has going on. It will take some deep dives and some information that you might be interested in.
In the professional safety community, communication and planning are just a few keys to your program's success. The question many practitioners have is, where do I start? Dr. Jay Allen, the creator of the Safety FM platform and host of the Rated R Safety Show, has built a global foundation to help you along the way. Go to safetyfm.com and listen to some of the industry's best and most involved professionals, including Blaine Hoffman with the Safety Pro, Sam Goodman with the Hop Nerd, Sheldon Primus with the Safety Consultant, Jim Polzel with Safety Wars, Emily Elrod with Unapologetically Bold, and many others. As individuals, we can do great things, but as a team, we become amazing. Dial into safetyfm.com today and surround yourself with a powerful force of knowledge and support.
You give safety.
OSHA recordables, catastrophic losses, environmental disasters. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Polzel with Safety Wars.
That's my daddy!
Alright, we're going to go real quickly on this because it's something that we do not talk about often enough here. Alright, Alright, let us share screen. And alright, so we're going to talk about the general duty clause today. Yeah, we're finally getting into safety here because we're going to talk about heat stress. And as of right now, there are, I think, at the end of the week, till the end of the week, there's going to be commentary on OSHA's accepting comments on the heat stress standard. And like we said last night, things are going one way and then the other way. Some people are saying good, some people are saying bad, some people are saying, no, this needs to be worked out a little bit more. And, I don't know how it's going to go. This is what I know. Heat, rest, shade. Big one. Right? And as someone pointed out to me, they said, look, it's almost like it's cumulative. And I said, yeah, that is. I mean, this is my experience, this is peer-to-peer input here. Right? So Monday you feel okay, Tuesday you feel somewhat okay, and then Wednesday you feel okay, and then Thursday, you're starting to drag a little bit, and then Friday, forget about it. You can't wait to be out of there with the heat. And that's how it is. It's some of it's psychological, I'm sure, but it's almost like you go into a deficit of some sort with the water and everything. You can only drink so much water. You can sweat out a lot of water faster than you can drink it, and it's, in my experience, you can't keep up in some environments, especially if you're out on a hazardous waste site situation. So what's the general duty clause? It's found in 5A1 of the Occupational Safety and Health Act. It requires employers to provide a workplace free from recognized hazards. That gives you a right to a safe and healthful workplace. Right? With that, it protects employees from serious harm when no specific OSHA standard applies. This is how that is, that paragraph, right, A1, but each employer shall furnish each of his employees employment and a place of employment which are free from recognized hazards that are likely to cause, that are causing or likely to cause death or serious harm. And let's talk about number 2 is, with this, is that the employee has a responsibility to follow rules promulgated under the standard. When is it used? When no OSHA standard directly applies to a hazard, it used to cite serious hazards that are recognized by the employer or industry, common and emerging hazards or situations not yet covered by the standards. There are 4 elements that OSHA has to prove. Right, that a hazard exists, and this is only for serious or higher. Other than serious or de minimis or anything like that, other than serious, doesn't apply to. So this has to apply to serious hazards here on up. Hazards exist. You have to prove that a hazard is recognized. The hazard causes or likely to cause death or serious harm, and feasible means exist to eliminate or reduce the hazard. So often when OSHA issues you a citation on this, they have all those elements in there with that, and with that. So heat illness prevention, we're talking on the federal level. Again, that's under debate right now. Ergonomics and MSD hazards, right, musculoskeletal hazards. Again, that was repealed in, I believe it was 2001, right, with that. Workplace violence, OSHA has had a lot of stuff on that. COVID-19 protection before specific standards, and indoor air quality or chemical exposure gaps, where there's a lot of chemicals out there that do not have exposure limits. So That would include those. So what does the employer have to do? Identify and assess workplace hazards, implement feasible controls, document hazard recognition and mitigation efforts, and train employees on identify risks and controls. So obviously, consequences, right, is to the worker, right? Worker gets hurt, citations and fines, civil liability depending on the situation, increased workers' compensation and damage to company reputation, and an increased risk of injuries and fatalities. So employers have to be proactive in recognizing and mitigating these hazards, and noncompliance can lead to significant consequences. Safety is not a requirement. It's not just a requirement, it's a responsibility, and it is a law. So if you have employees, you have a responsibility to protect them. Now, gone are the days of let's take one for the company. Doesn't happen, right? That's, now what is this, the 1930s? With that, I mean, it just doesn't work. Anyway, we'll continue on here. We're here 32 minutes after the hour. Let's get to some more news. So this is from NJ.com. I know I'm partial to New Jersey news here when it's relevant to safety. So I'm familiar. I've passed by this development here. This is from NJ.com. Story by Stephen Rodas of New Jersey Advanced Media for NJ.com. A 49-year-old man died as sweltering temperatures overtook New Jersey last July. Union advocates and organizers with Make the Road New Jersey share news of the death June 16th, the latest in several fatalities linked to extreme heat. So basically, it seems like they're doing the MOHI stuff, moment of high impact. So they're reporting on recent fatalities from the heat, because we are right now in a heat dome. I mean, I went out to the car this afternoon at 110 degrees out there, right on the pavement. It was not fun. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration cited a company after the incident tied to a residential construction site in Madison. And wouldn't you know, nobody would answer the phone. So this is from last year. On July 8th, at about 2 p.m., a construction worker employed by the company, who was not immediately identified further by OSHA, was pouring concrete for the foundation of a home before he collapsed. The employee was experiencing symptoms of heat stress and exhaustion due to high environmental temperatures. He was transported to the hospital where he died. So let's look at the thing. And by the way, I'm going to give credit where credit's due here. And a lot of these news outlets are now found out a thing called the OSHA establishment search. And they actually go here with this and, find out, under Biden it was much more detailed, but under Trump, not so much. So this was in Madison. Again, everybody loves to talk. Hey, Jim's on the air. Let's start giving him phone calls. All right. Again, nice to be demanded. So the employee began to experience symptoms of heat stress and exhaustion due to high environmental temperatures. The employee was transferred to a local hospital where he died. So they give the inspection number. It was the initial penalty of penalty was issued in March. It was the general duty clause. And you know what? I should really share this. Hold on. Right. Inspection number gives the right general duty clause. Right. So, we just went over that. Location 18, community place, right? Employees were exposed to the high hazard of ambient heat from direct sunlight while performing continuous moderate work outdoors, such as but not limited to smoothly wet concrete being poured from cement trucks. Not only is this hot, but wet concrete does give off some heat. It is an exothermic reaction, right? Especially when it's wet. While the wet concrete was being poured, employees used shovels to push the concrete from the chute of the concrete truck onto the ground. Should probably be onto the forms, right? After the concrete is on the ground, employees use shovels and rakes to move and spread the concrete to make sure that there are no voids or air pockets in the slabs that were poured. The employees' work shift was around 8 hours daily from 7 to 3:30 p.m. with a 15-minute break at or around 10:30 and a 30-minute lunch break at noon. I'm going to say this much. I don't think that happened. Why? Because if they were pouring concrete the whole day, you don't take breaks. You may rotate breaks or not take breaks at all. Just the way it is, because that's the nature of the work. I've done this work. I've supervised this work. Way back in the day, I did this work. All right. The National Weather Service issued a heat advisory, and from July 8th to the 9th, stating heat indices were expected to reach 97 degrees Fahrenheit. After the second concrete pour was completed, at approximately 11 a.m., an employee experienced a fatal heat illness. At approximately 11 a.m., the relative humidity was 55%. The wet bulb globe temperature was 77 degrees Fahrenheit, and the heat index was 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Employees were exposed to aggravating factors, including an estimated moderate workload level. Such exposures are likely to lead to the development of serious heat-related illnesses, such as but not limited to heat cramps, heat stress, and heat exhaustion. And now, rest in peace on that one. So the penalty that was issued was $5,000. It was an informal settlement was issued for $5,000. Am I reading that correctly? Yeah. All right. So the initial penalty was $4,800, and it was $5,000. And the other, which we're going to talk about right now, which looks like a record-keeping violation, was $3,457, and they put it down to zero, but they upped the other one. That's all part of the negotiation process on here with this. The employer did not report within 8 hours the death of an employee resulting from a work-related illness. Now, let's talk about that real quick. So this is often one of those things that gets cited in a fatality, especially when you're dealing with a smaller company. They don't realize that they figure, well, hey, the authorities know about it. I can almost guarantee that I believe this is Union County. Madison is in Union County, maybe Passaic County. I can almost guarantee that the sheriff was there along with the police for this. And they did their own investigation on this as well. So what happens is companies think, well, hey, the authorities already know about this, so therefore no, we don't have to report this. And nothing could be further from the truth. I can tell you right now, and my understanding is that OSHA has this agreement nationwide with everybody. Or an understanding. I don't know if it's how it's memorialized, whether it's a memorandum of an understanding or something like that, where anytime there's a 911 or 911 call, if you will, OSHA gets notified eventually of that. Other ways that they could get notified is someone else calls other than the employer, or workers' comp calls, or they read it in the newspaper, anything like that, any number of ways with that. I've heard of some stories where OSHA actually waits by the old-fashioned police scanner waiting for this stuff to happen. I don't know if that's true, how true that is. Right now, a police scanner, meaning that they listen to the police radios. Right now, most police departments have like a trunk system. I won't get into what that is because I'm not exactly sure how I can explain it. So any one of those things with that, I mean, it happens. It happens. Any number of ways. So what happens is they get word and then they come out, and if it's like a leading indicator that they use, where it's, well, you don't even know to report the injury. No, with that. Now, this is part of what the problem is with outreach training. OSHA outreach training. Most employers and employees don't take it. Number one. Number two is that in the first hour normally is all this reporting requirements and everything. I think that as a trainer for that, we may want to put that as the last thing. Just saying. Because remember this stuff. Nobody's going to remember it. Again, getting back to this here. So last year saw the hottest summer on record. We may be getting it this year too. The issue is even more challenging for workers living in the country illegally who advocates say are less inclined to speak out despite blistering hot work conditions. And plus, the employers, quote unquote employers, feel that they are independent contractors and you don't have to protect them at all. Again, they're calling for local legislation. Now, some other fatalities also around New Jersey with that over the years. Here is another one from the heat. Again, suspected to be heat exhaustion. A mail carrier. And, a postal worker. And we all know how the post office has had some issues lately with how they manage their accidents and safety issues. Here's a little bit of a gruesome one. Teen worker dies after he accidentally slices his own neck while cutting a fallen tree. Michigan homeowner discovered the 17-year-old boy next to the chainsaw with a laceration on their neck. 17-year-old worker is dead after sustaining a chainsaw injury on Sunday. On Sunday, the teen was asked to cut up a fallen tree at a residence. The homeowner then discovered the 17-year-old teen who was identified next to a chainsaw with a laceration on the neck, according to the Michigan Occupational Safety and Health Administration. And what caused the incident remains unclear at this time. It marks the 14th worker fatality in Michigan this year. 3 days earlier, a 48-year-old driver was delivering stone when, as he backed up his truck, the vehicle jackknifed, which caused it to tip over, crushing the cab and killing him. With this. So, again, with the chainsaw, what do you have? You have kickback often. Right, with that, probably could be you're putting yourself in the line of fire type of situation. Here we have Yosemite. A hospitality worker in the Yosemite National Park fell to their death while rock climbing. The employee was off the clock and engaging in recreational activities during their free time. A company spokesman told the Mail on the McClatchy News in an email on June 25th. Right, we are deeply saddened by this tragic climbing accident. The statement said our sympathies are with the family. The National Park Service did not respond to any requests for information. Now, I'm going to say this much. Dave Paulides has that Missing 411 series. I mean, there were a couple of movies, I think, with it. I don't even, to be honest with you, the stories are so disturbing that he goes into. I can't even with his movie, I couldn't even watch it. One of them. I mean, that's how this. If I can't watch it, you know how disturbing it is. Because look at what we cover every day. I mean, we got the. I'm adjusting the camera there. I mean, we got the explicit warning on the right on this show, right? With that, right? We got because it's graphic. It's graphic. Blah 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 blah. Hold on. Camera is way off. Again, not using my regular monitor here. So what ends up happening is Dave Politis, missing 411, he documents how the National Park Service has structural problems with investigating fatalities and missing person cases. So with that, hopefully they're getting really watch the movies and are getting better at it. Massive roof collapse. This happened right before showtime here. Massive roof collapse on New Jersey Produce Processing Company in Cumberland County. By the way, I know where this facility is. Hold on. Camera is not right. All right, that's better. I know where this is at. I think this was adjacent to some property that I was working on a number of years ago. 2 minor injuries reported by workers after the large section of roof at the Seabrook Brothers and Sons Produce Processing Plant in Cumberland County collapsed on Wednesday. Authorities responded to the facility at about 1:30 p.m. Wednesday for reports of an odor and discovered 3 large sections of the roof had collapsed. Officials said there was initially a small ammonia release. The odor was no longer present. And, hopefully everyone makes a speedy recovery here. Definitely OSHA will keep you updated on that. And EPA news. We could do a share screen on this. EPA selects 4 organizations to receive $3.7 million in grants to assist farmers for nutrient management in Western Lake Erie. Today, the U.S. EPA announced 4 Michigan and Ohio grant recipients will receive $3.7 million to engage farmers and provide nutrient management technical assistance on the Western Lake Erie Basin. Nutrient runoff from agricultural land is the leading cause of harmful algal blooms in Lake Erie. Right? This funding helps farmers apply nutrients more efficiently, safeguarding the long-term health and sustainability of Lake Erie. EPA helps small businesses understand hazardous waste rules. U.S. EPA, again, this is what Shelton Primus pointed out. Here is that when a Republican is in, they're worried about compliance assistance. Here, right? Not compliance enforcement. U.S. EPA is encouraging businesses, schools, and other small facilities to double-check how they handle hazardous materials to avoid costly violations. In recent years, EPA Region 2 has found that many facilities are unknowingly violating federal hazardous waste rules, probably because they were never enforced to begin with. A common issue is shipping regulated amounts of hazardous waste without first obtaining the required EPA identification number. These mistakes often stem from confusion about how much hazardous waste a facility generates and what that means for compliance. When these violations stem from a misunderstanding, not malice, we want to make sure businesses understand their legal obligations and take proactive steps to handle hazardous waste properly. It's about protecting human health and the environment. To address this, EPA has worked with dozens of facilities across Region 2 through expedited settlement agreements as a tool that helps businesses fix the problem quickly and return to compliance with minimal penalty. So what are they looking at? This sounds like a focus here. Use paint solvents or thinners, expired lab or cleaning chemicals, disinfectants and sterilants, and waste from auto work, art programs, and health services. When a facility generates more than 100 kilograms of hazardous waste in a month, it must notify EPA and comply with additional handling and shipping regulations. Many facilities, such as auto shops, dental and medical clinics, printers, schools, and laboratories, may unknowingly exceed the threshold. Even facilities that generate less than 100 kilograms of hazardous waste per month are subject to requirements. And the requirements are available here, and they are rather extensive. So maybe one day we'll go into that. Do I know about that stuff? Yeah. Am I a quote-unquote expert on that? Not really, because that's a highly specialized area of knowledge there. EPA updates. Cleanup plan for town of Pine Superfund alternative site in Indiana. Today, the U.S. EPA announced a revised cleanup plan to lower levels for contaminants of concern at the town of Pine Superfund alternative site in Indiana. These changes made in consultation with the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, including lowering the site's cleanup levels to 25.2 parts per million for arsenic, 1.62 parts per million for thallium, and 200 ppm for lead. I imagine that's from soil. These changes will allow properties previously ineligible for cleanup to be reevaluated against these new criteria. So basically, they lowered the threshold to include more properties. In 2002, EPA became involved in the site due to groundwater contamination from coal ash, a byproduct from burning coal. During an investigation that followed, EPA discovered coal ash had been used as landscaping fill in residential properties, resulting in contamination. Since 2016, EPA has overseen soil cleanups conducted by Northern Indiana Public Service Company, NIPSCO, resulting in removal of 3,733 truckloads of contaminated soil. So basically, some of these areas are quote-unquote minorly impacted, and they're trying to get them included here, which I don't think is a bad thing with that. All right, let's do this. Yes, I am back again. I'm a wreck today with the camera and the microphone and everything else. Ay. So, finally got it on the money here. Some of the other news out there. We won't do political stuff right now. Putin's, I started this, I didn't finish it. Vladimir Putin's bizarre doomsday radio has started broadcasting dozens of mysterious coded messages today as leaders meet in The Hague to discuss the war in Ukraine. World leaders, including Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky, and U.S. President Donald Trump gathered for a summit in The Hague today with European conflict high up on the agenda. It appears the meeting sparked a reaction from inside the Kremlin. Russia's UVV-76 radio station, known as The Buzzer, was the first set up in the Cold War and is typically activated at moments of high tension on the international stage. Its broadcasts are thought to be related to strategic communication tests involving multiple military units, the start of a nuclear command and control exercise, or an internal military readiness check. They also might indicate training involving Russia's strategic military forces. But they are not currently decodable without classification keys and carry no meaningful content to the average listener. The station, known as Dead Hand Radio or Judgment Day Radio, has existed for more than 50 years, but its purpose remains classified. Maybe we could start something up like that. You know, we could start some buzz here, right? Disposable vapes release more cancer chemicals than traditional cigarettes. Shock, research indicates. Vaping, long touted as healthier alternatives to smoking, may actually be more toxic than traditional cigarettes. That I believe. I have a story real quick to share in a minute here. Vaping, long touted as healthier alternatives to smoking, may actually be more toxic than traditional cigarettes. Researchers at the University of California, Davis tested 7 flavored e-cigarettes from the 3 most popular brands and found that disposable vapes release more cancer-causing chemical. Now, this is what I found out. Sending people out for physicals for hazardous waste sites. Never had a young smoker, fail the pulmonary function test. That's where the spirometry, that where you're blowing into a hose and it, measures volume in the lungs. However, I have had 19-year-olds who vaped since they're 13 fail all these tests. So, something you need to, you need to realize here. And what's in them? The above graph shows nickel, antimony, and lead levels in testing vapes. The green dotted line shows cancer risk for lead. The purple dotted line shows, okay, great. So basically, they're not as healthy as you think. Okay. I'm going to have to listen to this later with that. So we're just going to call it a program, and we will see you, God willing, tomorrow. This is Jim Polzel with Safety Wars.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.